Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Rivers Tuesday. This is our podcast where we highlight fun things in the life of our church family and talk about Sunday's sermons. We've been in a little bit of a summer hiatus, but we're back. We're here to discuss the last several sermons and all sorts of things. I'm here with John Teague. How are you, John?
I'm doing good. Hiatus is a funny word.
Hiatus. It is a funny word. It's a good one.
Yeah. I feel like you could slip up and maybe like throw an anus in there.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to cut that out?
No.
He's committed.
Yeah.
How was your Father's Day?
Father's Day this year was super low key. Two of my children were gone. And so it was just major. We went to church and then it was real low key after that. And so that was great because I got to enjoy lots of sports, and then we cooked a great meal together, and my kids wrote me really special notes.
Oh,
and
that's
like
so sweet.
their words mean a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're getting older, their words are getting more mature and thoughtful,
Mm-hmm.
and there's more weight behind those things,
Mm-hmm.
and there's more depth there, and that's probably what I treasure the most.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Do you get sweet texts from your girls, or do they write them on like actual letters?
Well, two of my girls wrote them down on actual paper.
Wow, that's so sweet.
And then our oldest, Annie, who's a camp counselor at Pine Cove this summer, she's away, so she texted me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what a treasure. That's really sweet.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, we've been having summer. I don't know how you say that.
We've been
we
on a
have been having
hiatus.
summer. What have been some fun things in the life of our church family over the last several weeks that you've seen?
Well, just speaking of Father's Day, one of the things I loved on Sunday was just seeing several of the dads who were serving had their kids with them. And that was just really sweet. I think it's great. I think it's great that the kids get to come and be a part of it and just sort of feel like they're a part of it. There's been, there are kids that are serving with their parents all over our church. And it's just really fun to see. And I think dads are modeling something for their kids that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing that jumps out at me.
Yes. Yeah. I love that that is normal in our church family for kids to serve alongside their parents, for teenagers to be serving, and for, just everyone benefits from that culture of just like jumping in and bringing good to our whole church family, like as a team. So I love that. I have really enjoyed our driveway parties and ladies' nights. Those have been really fun. Meeting new moms, connecting with new people, and just seeing all the kids together. Those have been really fun.
I've heard great things about those. It just sounds like they're super fun. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they really are. Speaking of that, the men have one coming up this week, Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday Lookouts game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, if you're hearing this and you haven't registered, you should register right this very minute.
Right this very minute.
It's coming to a close, but you could still get in.
Can you?
Possibly.
You can
if
try.
you beg Justin Ebley. But I do think it's possible, and that'll be super fun for you guys.
Yes.
Are y'all sitting on the berm?
The berm?
Is that the right word?
Yeah, that would be a good word for
Okay.
it, but I don't think that we are.
Oh, okay. You have
I actually
receipts.
don't know where our tickets are.
Great.
But
It'll be an adventure for everybody.
it will.
That's so great. Let's see. What else? Okay, let's talk about Sunday sermon.
Yeah.
All right, it was Father's Day, so you kind of addressed the dads specifically, but it was a word for everyone to receive. We talked about kind of the definition of manhood and something that men can like have a vision for what it means and kind of live into that story. Talk a little bit about why it matters for dads to like live in a big story and to like paint that picture for their children.
Yeah. Well, one of the things let me go through that definition. Those four things were reject passivity, accept responsibility, lead courageously, and invest eternally. Like that is just a clear vision for manhood as we see it, as God designed it. Like that's who we're called to be. And so I just think it's helpful to have language, especially common language. I mean, that's why I taught that definition at the Sixer. That's why I bring it up on a Sunday morning, where on a Father's Day, when we could all kind of hear that and gather around that definition. If we were all doing that, I think that would just be amazing to see what God would do through in our church and through our church and in our families. And you asked about a bigger story. I mean, that's one of the things that dads are doing when their kids come along with them and like come learn what they do at church. You know, you're teaching them a bigger story. You're teaching them how to invest eternally. You are teaching them that there is more than what this world tells you should be about, right? The world is trying to entertain you and get your attention and get you to buy into whatever it's trying to sell you, right? And there's a bigger story out there, and eventually we get to a place, I think all of us kind of get to a place where like, surely there's a better story than the one the world is offering us. And so dads get to show that to their kids.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. How would you encourage, I didn't prepare you for this question. Okay. How would you encourage wives to encourage their husbands into this definition and into being like walking in how God has designed them to be as a man?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And I didn't have time to hit on that because what I don't want this is to be like, this is going to be such
weaponized.
Yes. That's a good word for it. I was thinking of someone with like, this is like such a dated reference, but like think of like a cartoon with like, I don't know, this is like from the Flintstones, and she's got like a frying pan and she's going to like chase her husband with it and beat him with it. It's like, we don't like beat our husbands up with this definition. Like, well, if you would just reject passivity, you know, like if you would just lead more courageously, you know, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is now that wives have heard this, and I think it's good that they've heard this, they can pray this for their husbands. Pray that God would strengthen their husband to step up and reject that passivity that's in all of us, right? In one form or another, like to pray that he would lead courageously, and that God would give him the courage to do that, that God would bring other strong men around him to encourage him and challenge him and cheer him on, you know, as he does that. That's one thought. Pray for it. I think another thought is that when you see your husband doing something like this, to like, I mean, not go over the top where it's almost like, okay, you know, but you just like, but like you acknowledge it and you are grateful for it. And you even look for like, how can you celebrate it or reward it? I mean, like, cause we're all
wired that way.
We're all wired that way. You know, like what gets rewarded gets repeated. You know that if you're a parent, right? When you celebrate something like that affirmation is so good for all of us. And I think, you know, a lot of us husbands, we walk around with some level of weight that like we're probably not doing everything we ought to do. And so when someone comes along and points out where we've done something well, like that puts wind in our sails.
Yeah, I think it was helpful for me to have that specific language. Now I have like those glasses on of like, I'm looking for all the times I see Jake doing those things so that I can like celebrate and affirm it and use that same language to like show him appreciation and thank him for leaning into those things. So I would just encourage the wives to like put those glasses on and like be intentionally seeking out and looking for even like the smallest of ways that your husband rejects passivity or leads courageously, and be quick to honor that and celebrate that. And like you said, not in a over the top, like patronizing way, but in like a genuine, like it makes our life better when you do that.
But let me kind of come at it from another angle too. I think that it's important for wives to recognize where they may want to step in and try to correct or change because maybe he's not doing it the way you would do it. You know? But because we're wired very differently. Like we almost should expect that to a certain degree. And so just because he's doing it differently than you might do it does not mean that it's wrong. And so just thinking about that, like being, you know, maybe like slow to step in and correct or criticize. And then also when you see courageous leadership, like follow it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really good. I have grown in like realizing that Jake is so different than me, and that's actually a really good thing. And so I would just encourage wives to like try to like shift that of like when you see like your husband doing something so differently than how you thought he should or would, or how you would have like written it out, that instead of my like default response being like, why didn't he do it how like the obvious Maggie way that is obviously the right way, you know, instead of being like, oh, he's different and that is like how God designed it, and that's what our family needs, and that's a good thing. So I think that's good. Is there anything specific? Oh, before I go on to that, I just want to like affirm and honor all of the men in our church family who are doing those things really well. Like when I hear that definition, I'm like, yeah, I see that really clearly and really beautifully in so many of the men in our church family. And my family gets to enjoy the fruit of that. Our church is enjoying the fruit of that. Like we are flourishing, I would say. Like that vision of like, what is it when the righteous thrive, a city rejoices? Like I would just say like, we're getting to see that. Like I feel like our church is rejoicing, and like the men in our church family are like leading courageously and rejecting passivity in so many areas, and it's beautiful, and I appreciate it.
I just saw so many examples on Sunday. Just I will often, when I invite people into communion, I'll step off the stage. But the last few weeks, as we've been calling people to do a little bit more in our response to the word than just come to the table and take communion, but to move and engage with one another, I've stayed on the stage, and I have this beautiful view of like, and on Sunday, on Father's Day, seeing men with an arm wrapped around like one another, like praying for one another. Like, man, that is awesome. Praise God. What a big, like, just assault on the enemy, you know, that just wants to keep men down and discouraged and isolated. Yeah.
That's so good. Since you brought that up, can you like remind us or share a little bit with someone who might not fully understand, why are we inviting people into those things, like into that time of kind of participating a little bit more, moving around a little bit more? What would you say is some of our heart behind this?
Yeah. Well, let me ground it in the word first. In Psalm 122, that psalm is all about like going to the house of the Lord. And we called that sermon, Let's Go to Church. Because in a way, that's kind of what we think about, you know, like, let's go to the house of the Lord. Let's go meet with God, and let's meet with God's people. That psalm is celebrating this and expecting that God will do something in us and through us when we go to the house of the Lord. And that psalm ends with this sort of declaration that for the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Like, and so when we participate in what God's doing, when we gather together, like that's a way to seek the good of Two Rivers Church, to seek the good of the church and God's people, like just capital C, the church, and then like seeking the good of one another. And so over the last several weeks, we've been trying to be more intentional to create space for us to minister to one another. Like that's a big benefit of gathering as God's people, is to minister to one another. The Spirit of God, the same Spirit that is in me is in you. Like that's the Spirit of Christ. There's one Spirit, and He's stirring in us and ministering to us, and He calls us to one another to go and be a blessing to one another.
Yeah, I think that time is so helpful for like practicing obedience. You know, it's like we want to be really sensitive to that Spirit leading us and guiding us, and we believe that He speaks and He works and He moves through us. And when we get in the like safe shelter of that environment where we're like so known and so loved by our church family, if we can practice being like obedient to what the Spirit puts on our heart to say or do or who to go to, I feel like that's just like strengthening that muscle to where now when I'm at the store or I'm at work or I'm at the ball field or like whatever, I know that voice because I heard that voice on Sunday, and I know what it's like to obey His promptings and for Him to meet me in that. When I step out to do that, He meets me and He works and He moves. And so now I'm just like, that becomes normal to me,
Yeah.
that I obey, and that
Yes.
he prompts me and I obey, and he prompts me again and I obey. And we just get used to that way of life that is such a beautiful adventure, and it's like who we're designed to be.
Yep.
And so I am excited about this time of just like inviting us a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but into like who we're made to be and what we're made to do.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why we're doing it. That's great to have the heart behind that. You mentioned Psalm 122, which is one of the sermons in this series. But before we get more into that, remind us the name of this series and just in general what this series is about.
Yeah. Well, the name of the series is Journey to Joy. And we are studying the Psalms of Ascents, which is Psalm 120 through 134. And these Psalms were sung as people from Israel would journey toward Jerusalem to worship. And it was at least during the 3 festivals that the males were commanded to go to, but oftentimes families would come with them. But 3 times a year they were commanded to go and gather and to worship and to remember God in some particular aspect, and that's why there were different festivals. So they would sing these songs as they would go up to Jerusalem. That's why they're called the Psalms of Ascents. There are some traditions that even say that people would sing these or recite these as they climbed the steps at the Temple Mount. And so there's something really special knowing that like we join with like people who have been worshiping God for centuries, who have sung these songs. In fact, Jesus probably sang these songs as he grew up in a Jewish home and would have been obedient to go for the festivals. And he would have known these. And what's so cool about them is that, you know, like so many of these are about him, you know, and he fulfills so many things in these Psalms, you know, as they sing about promises to David and how like his throne will reign forever. And Jesus is like, yeah, I'm the descendant of David that reigns now forever and ever, you know. Like, it's pretty cool.
That's really cool. So in the same way that they were singing these as they were journeying to meet with God, we sing these like in our journey home to like fullness of his presence. So like on our journey in this life, we're singing these as we're kind of like anticipating and looking forward to being home with God. Is that the right way to like take it, or one way to take it?
That's a great way to take it. Yes. And I called it Journey to Joy because in his presence there is fullness of joy. Right. So like this isn't just about going to a physical city. Like we don't travel to Jerusalem, you know, like, or go to the temple anymore. I mean, we walked through this actually. I think it was the week we went through 122, and I was kind of like the house of the Lord, like where God dwells, like started in the garden, you know, then it was the tabernacle, then it was the temple, and then, you know, they were in exile and the temple got destroyed and they came and they rebuilt it. And then Jesus comes and like God dwells in him. And then the Spirit of Christ after his death and resurrection like dwells within us. And one day a new city will come from heaven, and that is representing the people of God, and God will dwell with us. And that's home ultimately. Right. But the Spirit of God dwells within us. And so like we are the temple of the living God. The New Testament tells us. So like we are the house of the Lord too, you know? So in his presence, so many layers. There is fullness of joy. And so we're all kind of like on a journey to more and more of that fullness of joy.
And that joy is for today. It's for every step of the journey, and it will come in its fullness when we're home in heaven. That same Psalm 122 week, you talked about line 1 where he says, I was glad when they said, let us go to the house of the Lord. What is it about the house of the Lord that he would have been glad to go to? What are some things that can almost like stir our affection for getting to go to the house of the Lord? Like what can we anticipate will make us glad, and we can anticipate will happen there?
Well, the Lord will be there. You know? The Lord will be there. He's a Lord who speaks. And so when we go and in particular go to like to meet him, we can expect and anticipate that he will speak to us. And that will be for our good. that's one.
Yeah. What is a practical way that we can like build expectation for Sunday morning? So like, how can I, if I'm like, okay, I want to come more expectantly, but it feels just like chaos even getting there, our weekends are busy, I don't know how to do that. How can I practice like being more prepared or coming with more expectation on Sundays?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer it like I answered earlier. Like, let's start with praying for it. Like,
Yeah.
let's pray that that God would use your time at church this week to draw you closer to Him. Like, really earnestly pray for that.
Yep.
And maybe you do need to pray over the chaos. You know, Lord, I just want to pray over all the challenges that seem to be every week, getting out the door, getting the kids, you know, into the car and to church, and always feeling kind of harried. I pray that you would bring a calm to that chaos.
Yeah.
Like, what if you started to pray for that instead of just take it, just stand there and take it,
Yes.
you know, and receive it.
Yeah.
Like, what if you prayed into that, and then maybe your eyes would be open more to like just ways to mitigate some of that chaos,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what that might be, but that's one thought.
Yeah.
Pray into it.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to do your thing. I have 2 things.
Okay.
Consumption and cues.
Okay.
Okay. First one
Love it.
is consumption, but I'm circling way back to earlier in the conversation when we were talking about why we're even having that time of participation, where towards the end, we're just inviting you to participate a little bit more. And I
Yeah.
just want, this thought just came to my mind of like another reason why that's so good for us is because we live in such a consumeristic culture. We're just like in that water. And so everything about my brain has been wired to just filter everything through like, what can I take from this without giving much?
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, we will walk in on a Sunday morning with that exact same mentality of like, okay, I'm here to consume the songs I like and consume a sermon that will hopefully like help me, and then maybe consume a little friendship, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
And we want to push against that mentality because that will not lead to our flourishing or our like maturing in Christ.
Yes.
And so when we invite you to participate, it's an active like pushing back against that consumeristic mentality and saying like, you're a part of this.
Yeah.
And so you get to participate in this, you get to make it better, and you being here matters. You're not just here to take, but to give also. And there's actually so much life to be had, and so much flourishing, and so much receiving to be had as you give.
Yep.
What was my second thing?
Cues.
Okay, back to the practicality of how to prepare and come expectantly on Sunday. I think setting up for yourself some type of mental cue of like, okay, I know Saturdays are busy and Sunday mornings are chaos getting everyone, but what is like one thing that I know will happen or I will see that will cue my brain to pray that really simple but really powerful prayer of, God, I want to meet you, or God, please use me in this gathering. And so for our family, Jake has prayed this prayer every Saturday night for years and years and years of just like, Lord, please use us in the gathering tomorrow. It's like, 6 words or something like that. But every single Saturday, he asks the Lord to use us in the gathering tomorrow. And because he prays that just like over time has like changed my view of Sundays, because I come to Sundays now not thinking, what am I going to consume from this, but come to it thinking, I've already prayed for God to use me, so I'm coming expecting and looking for the ways God will use me.
Yeah.
And so set up some type of cue in your home or in your mind, in your brain, where like, okay, it's whether it's just as simple as Saturday night, or it's like when we come around that curve, or we start coming up the hill,
Yeah.
which is like so beautiful, like
Yes.
for these passages, like you're starting to like see
Yeah.
the school,
Yeah.
and you're coming up that hill, like as your car starts to ascend, maybe you pray that prayer, God, use us in our gathering. God, we want to meet you.
Yes.
And that our brains are wired to look for the thing that we just asked for. And
Yes.
so now when you walk in those doors, you're looking for God to meet you. And he promises, like, when we seek him, we will find him. And he's so faithful to like meet us and use us and to like answer our prayers.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think set up some type of mental cue to prepare your heart to say that simple but really powerful prayer that over time totally rewires how you view church.
Yeah, that's so good. I'll go back to that consumer piece, the consumption piece. And We weren't made for that. Like, it's not who we're made to be.
Yes.
You know, like, I mean, we could ground that in Ephesians chapter 2. It's like, for by grace we've been saved. And then he goes on to say, we're his workmanship, created in Christ to do good things, to do good works that he's prepared for us. So what if we went in thinking like, God's actually set something up for me to step into. And it's not just for me to consume. It's actually for me to do good works. That's what Ephesians 2:10 says. But our culture is discipling us to watch.
Wow.
Everything.
Yeah.
To watch everything.
Yes.
We get to watch other people go on vacation. We get to watch other people go shopping. We watch people unbox things, right? Like we watch other churches. We just watch and we don't participate. And like, that's part of the discipleship of our culture. It's training and teaching us to just watch. And then it almost becomes like ingrained. It's like these neural pathways. It's just like, and so I get it. We can accidentally like just come in and think we come to church and we watch.
Yep.
And that's just not for our good. That's not how we were created.
Yeah. I had a youth pastor who would always just say like, this is not a spectator sport.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's just like this call to like get in the game, to get stronger as you get in the game, to like take a bunch of at-bats. That's a baseball analogy. Is that the right way to say that? Take some at-bats.
Some swings.
Yeah, take a swing at it. Because that's like, like we've said, that's what we're made to do. And it will function and like be the church it's designed to be when we're all in the game and not just standing by passively. And that's another way that like we all have to reject passivity, because everything in our culture and everything in our flesh is going to tell us like it's safer back here being passive. And then so the invitation is for all of us to reject passivity in all the areas of our lives, but specifically on Sundays, reject the temptation to spectate and just passively consume.
Yeah. Don't you want to be a part of like some great movement of God in the life of someone, like on a Sunday morning or in a season, you know, like where you're really walking through something hard with someone, but you're watching God at work. Like you want to be a part of that. Like you don't just want to watch that like on a screen. You want to just watch someone else's testimony about that. You want to be a part of that, you know, and the invitation is to be a part of that.
Yeah. And I think the like really disarming thing is that with God like working through you and with you like obeying his promptings, it can be like the seemingly tiniest, most insignificant thing that is actually, when used by him, changes someone's life. You know what I mean? Like the power of a hug, the power of like a simple encouraging word, the power of you even just like being there and standing there in worship, like you're present, like the power of like putting your hand on someone's shoulder and just letting them know like I'm with you and I'm for you and I'm praying. All of those like seemingly small things are in the hands of God like eternally significant.
Yes, and I just want to like speak at something that's coming to me right now. The enemy of your soul, the enemy of God, would love for you to stay on the sideline and for you to believe you have nothing to offer. And that is a lie from the pit of hell. And you, if you're listening to this, need to know that you have something to offer. This, like, God has created you, wired you, gifted you. And if you belong to Jesus Christ, his spirit lives within you and you have something to offer. So don't listen to that lie that you aren't qualified to step in and put a hand on someone and pray something into them. I know you might even think like, my record wasn't very good this week. I did not do very well in the whole like walking with God thing. And therefore, who am I to like pray a prayer of blessing over someone? And I just say that's a bunch of, you know what?
It's lies.
And it's just lies. And that may be the very thing that the enemy's doing to keep you locked in that cell, that prison. And you bust out of that by saying, no, I've been forgiven, like I'm covered, and I've received the abundance of his grace. And that's Romans 5:17. And so therefore I'm going to step into this.
Yeah.
Who God's called me to be. Yeah. I don't have to be perfect to do that.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. So I just encourage everyone, as this podcast is closing and you're like receiving all of these truths, I would just encourage you to put to death those lies. Like anything like that is coming against you is from the enemy. Like he accuses us and he condemns us. So anything that sounds like you don't have what it takes, you're not qualified, or is like bringing up your sin and trying to like shame you with what you haven't done enough of, that is not of the Lord. And so we can just like put those things to death and like walk in Christ, walk in the second Adam, right? Like in the shadow of the second Adam, we can step into all of the things that he has for us and walk by his Spirit and obey him and flourish. And so I just encourage you to be praying now and be getting excited about Sunday. Like start imagining and start asking God to give you eyes to see how he'll use you, and believing that he has a good work prepared for you this Sunday.
Yes.
And we'll see you there. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back eventually.
Eventually.